You know, there's a bar on the backside that looks like it works. Yeah. So just click the button. That's okay. You don't have to get up inside it to do that. Oh.
Is it,
It's okay, it's okay.
is the top moving, is that what the problem is?
No,
Because
It's okay. Oh.
it's good, I just
Well,
wanted to her to get her safety first. That was what my last communication was, so, but it's always thinking, always thinking.
the pepper, some rain, and then I,
Want it this way?
yeah, just a bit, we don't wanna cut. Right there,
Too far?
yeah,
Good?
okay, we're good, yeah. Did we get signed done?
Yeah.
Okay. Yay, we have a quorum, so we get to have a meeting, so excited. Hi, James, hi, Chris, see you online.
Hello, hello, how are
okay,
you?
So we will call to order, and we'll start with a roll call. You want me to go? Cameron Wilson, here, James Harrison. He's online. Mark Pella,
Here.
Ken Whitco. Ray Dotson,
Here.
Teresa King. Joyce Brown. Christopher Austin,
Present.
thank you. Okay, and here's your the rest of it too. Should see that. You can just leave, okay. Okay, can I get an approval of the meeting minutes for April 2nd, 2025?
I'm good with the minutes be accepted as presented.
Ray, one second.
Second.
Do we have any public comment? Well, I'm excited. We have a guest speaker, Parks and Recreation Director, Mary Dodsworth, and Parks and Development Project Manager, Davi De La Cruz. The floor is yours.
Huh? You can just jump in. Sure.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for inviting us to participate in your meeting. I'm Mary Dodsworth. I'm the Parks and Recreation Community Services Director for the City of Lakewood. Many of you know me. If not, hi. I've been with the city for about 24 years, so we've worked on lots of different projects. Last time we were here, we did a big presentation on safety, all the ways that we look at safety in parks. But this time we're going to talk to you a little bit about the legacy plan that we're working on. And Divi will share a little bit more about the plan and its purpose. And but it's a great document that we've used as a strategic plan, as well as Parks, Recreation, and Open Space plan. So we're in the process of getting ready to renew it or update it because we did a lot of the stuff that was in the last one. So Divi, why don't you introduce yourself and then take it away.
Sounds good. I'll just kind of speak from here instead of standing up. But my name is David De La Cruz, Parks Capital Project Manager. I've been with the city for a little over a year now. Excited to be jumping into the legacy plan and really kicking off the community engagement. Actually getting a lot of support from Chris Davis here also at the city of Lakewood. Just thinking through how we're connecting with neighborhood associations and just kind of leadership groups across the city. So excited to share with you all kind of what the process is, what the legacy plan entails, and where we're going from here. So yeah, have a whole presentation that I'll share with you shortly. So. And if, should I control?
I think you have to use this one.
All right, so 2026 legacy plan update, and so this is the kind of first iteration, first launch of kind of introducing this overview, so happy to take feedback on just making sure things are clearer, more concise, but really excited to dig right in. Throughout the presentation and towards the end, there will be a QR code that just shares and links folks to the legacy plan website. That just kind of will be the key place that holds key updates for the process. Just encourage you all, if you want to scan that and take a peek at the website, I encourage you all to do that. But why are we updating this legacy plan that touches and speaks about parks, open space and recreation? Ultimately, these documents get updated by cities just about every 6 years. It's important to update these to remain timely, to really think about how services and parks and recreation is really responding to community needs and community ideas. And also, it's really important for this document.
Is there a microphone or a way that we can turn it up?
Yeah.
Maybe I can speak closer to this area. Can y'all hear me a little bit better from here? Excellent. I'll just turn this up. Perfect. And then the last important part of why the legacy plan gets updated is really to think about how this roadmap is created to be competitive for grant funding and grant opportunities that are offered by the state of Washington and across the US. So what does this plan really help us accomplish? So this map just shows the range of parks that are here in the city of Lakewood, and it really helps create that roadmap, that kind of understanding of how folks access parks and how whether or not we're meeting this key goal of having a park within a half mile for where people live, basically within a 10-minute walk for where people live. It also visits this idea or this concept that was introduced in the past legacy plan, this PACA score, this park amenity criteria and scoring that is done by park staff that really helps understand the quality of amenities and whether or not the amenities fit within the community. And lastly, just really making sure that all of the project ideas that are coming up and all the recreation opportunities that folks are just addressing as gaps within the city are posterized and brought forward in this plan to capture just what concerns are from the community. Ultimately, this plan, like Mary mentioned, it's a strategic plan that really outlines how we're developing parks and recreation programming and city events to really support community and community building. It also creates policies and procedures to really outline and to keep the city accountable to implementing these key projects. It really revisits what current programs and services are offered so that we think through how they're being done, whether or not they're efficient, and whether or not they're meeting the needs of the most vulnerable and the folks that are not included in typical planning processes. And like I mentioned, it just helps create that compelling argument for demonstrating that key projects have been brought up by community, and it helps just be prepared for those grant applications in the future. So some of the key sections that make up this legacy plan are items such as community profiles, which really dives into the data and demographics around specific neighborhoods to understand who makes up that neighborhood and how the parks in that neighborhood are really meeting the needs of those communities. Other key sections include this classification or this inventory that helps understand specifically in a list of what amenities are offered within the parks, so that we understand that there's just no gaps in the park system. There's a needs assessment that's done. We call on a task force to really help us understand what those needs are. Where those gaps are coming up in the park system and really make sure that it's somehow brought into that legacy plan so that we have a plan to address those gaps and those needs. And then this level of service really addresses this scoring system or this metric system to really provide quantitative figures to demonstrate what investment is needed and then do it in a way that's really targeted and pointed so that it's driving just key indicators around quality park space. And lastly, key section, obviously, public involvement is super important. It's an important part of the comprehensive plan. It's an important part of the goals laid out in the legacy plan to really think about transparent plan processes that especially involve the voices of vulnerable populations and members of overburdened communities. That's verbatim some words from the comprehensive plan that really just touch on the importance of integrating public involvement throughout any planning process. And in the past legacy plan that was passed, there's a goal that specifically outlines that any process around the services and the amenities that are available to everybody are equitable and really community driven. So which is why the key part of kind of launching this legacy plan is to really think about how to make it to key community groups and do this really targeted outreach. From creating focus groups to doing this targeted outreach, some of the ways that we can do that is by working closely with city council so that they're aware of kind of what that process looks like, really working closely with neighborhood associations. Chris is a really important kind of connection and bridge to help make those relationships possible. Working with local environmental groups or special interest groups to really drive what improvements are really high priority that are being kind of addressed by folks in these organizations. Really looking at city personnel as well, understanding their opinions and their feedback on what it takes to maintain park facility, what it takes to host programming at those park facilities, just to make sure that we're touching all our bases and making sure that as a broad of a conversation is being had about how to just improve parks for the future. And then lastly, other opportunities and other kind of approaches that we take to really reach targeted outreach is these community pop-up events. Just last week, we had the street festival, so really using that opportunity where people are gathering and finding an opportunity to go to them and really help them just kind of understand what the legacy plan is, and then from there, really understand how their feedback can feed into this document that can shape the future of Lakewood Parks. There's farmers markets happening that I'll plan to be at every other week at least to just encourage people to share this input. These are two of the many boards that I'll have at various events. I'll also work with folks coordinating the senior programming, drop by Summerfest and work with the youth council that will be incoming in September to really just reach as many key city groups to let them know about this plan and let them know how their opinions can get reflected in the plan. And lastly, like I mentioned, Lakewood community events, there is going to be an open house meeting that just does a more broad kind of overview of what the legacy plan is. Right now, I'm really just focusing on key commissions so that they're aware of how they can support this process. The goal in terms of community engagement is to wrap up some construction projects and really think about how to have a survey released closer to the fall after some key construction projects are done and after some of the major events that have happened have just gathered some key input and ideas. That'll help shape some of the survey questions that we're asking. Once we just have a breadth of engagement and suggestions from folks. With this legacy plan task force, I want to kind of leave that seed here with you all to think about ways that maybe you all can have a liaison from the Safety Commission potentially join this task force to just kind of gut check some of the early drafts of this legacy plan. I want to be reaching local stakeholder groups, local partners and other community groups to make up this task force that really shapes kind of the contents of the legacy plan. And this would be a really targeted group that would shape the content and not necessarily be out there with me at engagement events. I think that's something that would be appreciated, but it's really focusing on kind of the key sections that may be important to you all to drop by and support with that effort. Since the last legacy plan has been accomplished in 2020, there's some pretty key projects that I wanted to touch on just to kind of celebrate those. For example, we had the American Lake Park, the north parking lot. We had Fort Steilacoom Park, the Angle Lane improvements. We had the turf infields, the 4 turfs at Fort Steilacoom Park. We have design completed for park signs. We have a park playground replacement effort that was completed. Springbrook Park was done. And also Wards Lake, there was a land acquisition that helped make the current construction efforts possible. But some of the bolded ones are kind of what I'll jump into a little bit more specifically, just so that y'all are aware. But the Angle Lane improvements brought improved utilities, access to sewer, water, power, and fiber into the northern portion of, or sorry, the central portion of the park. This included the addition of parking, trailheads, and signage. There's also that new restroom near the dog park, new, but more closer to new around the time the last legacy plan was published. And then Angle Lane was also paved. So another key project that was just opened up last year was the redevelopment of the 4 fields at Fort Steilacoom Park. One of the fields is used as the home field for Pierce College, and then 3 of the others are just open to the public. All 4 are open to the public, but the priority for the larger field is for Pierce College's use. And then there's also some batting cages that support that development. Springbrook Park was another project that was completed since the last legacy plan. This included purchasing various properties throughout the that were next to the park, removal of dilapidated structures, and removal of the previous playground. This redevelopment included addition of a new playground, community garden area, and a bridge that connects into the local transit station. That's a really important part of kind of how Springbrook Park and that investment made an impact in that area. Primley Park, a playground, was recently replaced. I think that's this highlights some of the processes that we like to take. We take an inventory of the quality of an amenity at a park, jump to doing some community engagement, some community feedback to understand what the goals are for improvements are. And then from there, we take on and implement those suggestions and make a decision on what makes the most sense and based on what community has prioritized. And so we were able to open up Primley Park just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, which is very exciting for that neighborhood. Another list of current projects that are shaping and are kind of a result of the last legacy plan are the improvements at American Lake Park, which include access, the Chambers Creek Trail planning and development, which is started construction last year, Harry Todd Park improvements in general, from the access improvements near the water to the pickleball courts. Also, an important current project at Fort Steilacoom Park is that Nisqually Partnership, working on that interpretive signage closely with the Nisqually tribe. The construction of the park signs is also underway this year, hoping to end by the end of this next month. And then finally, the playground equipment, street end update. At this point, that project is well underway, and then we've hired a consultant to get started with design. So that's a really exciting and fast moving project. And then lastly, Wards Lake Park. and just kind of really excited to have those improvements done ideally by the end of this summer, so that we can get that opened up for the community. So some of the improvements at American Lake include just key waterfront access and ADA access improvements, the addition of a restroom, the addition of a plaza to just give that sense of entry and that respect to the entry into the park. Landscaping, an improved beach area, and then also some mitigation, which includes some protected planting areas. So although the beach may be slightly reduced, that area is just a really important part of planting and mitigation for that area. Other key improvements as part of Harry Todd Park include ADA access, redeveloping that shoreline, the addition of an improvement of fishing piers and docks, which were just used about middle of May for this fishing event that was just really successful and brought so many community members out. These improvements also included beach restoration, a new restroom building, and a new playground. And then more recently, Harry Todd is seeing the addition of pickleball courts and 3 ADA stalls added into that area, just because the current courts were just running out of its use of life and needed to be replaced. That was a key part of the previous legacy plan that was addressed, and that's being addressed now. These are these early renderings of the park signs and what they'll look like. That's what we're hoping to unveil by the end of the summer, and really excited about that. There will be some landscaping and then various signs replacing the previous one. So that's under construction, and there's various upcoming projects, really exciting time. There's the Camp Murray master plan that's upcoming. Edgewater Park planning and development is well underway. We have updates to the Gateway Monument signs. Most of them have been installed. There's only about one remaining at 84th. The H-Barn renovations at the Fort Steilacoom Park, that's been just kind of a key highlight of what folks have been waiting for, that already people are really excited about that based on my last conversation during the street festival with a lot of folks, and improvements at Oak Brook Park. So generally, the timeline that we're looking at for this legacy plan is really thinking about how engagement through this summer can be really what catalyzes conversation around improvements. We'll look to release that survey in the fall, compiling those survey results between the fall and the winter, and really look at having those early draft sections closer to the end of the year of winter, and then have legacy plan task force meetings starting around the summer through the winter, so that we can really think about what that plan of action is to start reviewing those draft sections and really coming up with a plan that can be ready by early spring, so that we can have an adopted legacy plan around May of 2026. So that's a little bit of the timeline there, and there will be just kind of ongoing conversation, ongoing kind of traction. If you all see anything on this on social media, please help us just kind of keep sharing that with folks so that they can feel connected to this process. Ultimately, I see your role and as pretty important to just connect people to the process, make sure folks are aware, make sure you all are familiar with the anticipated outcomes of the legacy plan, and really just have someone from this board serve as a liaison potentially if there is interest from your membership. But there is a suggestion and activity today. I put some Post-it notes and some markers so that you all can help me answer some of these questions. So I'll kind of orient you a little bit and encourage you all to think through some ideas on what you have. So this first suggestion here is, tell us what improvements you envision for parks in the next 5 years. These lists all of the different parks. So if you have a specific suggestion for a park, you can have that here. But this second board here is a little bit more open-ended, but it just encourages you all to dream and to have hopes for just what future activities or what park features and amenities you'd like to see in the city. And just encourage you all to take that time, take a few minutes and open to have, answer any questions that you all might have about this process. But, yeah, you'll have some post-it notes there, some markers there to just to jump in and make some suggestions. I'll leave these here through the end of the meeting, so no need to do it right away, but open to if there's some questions.
Debbie, could you go back one slide that had the QR code on it?
Yes, absolutely. So again, like I mentioned, the QR code will lead you to the Legacy Plan website, and I'll make sure to add it to the last slide as well. Thanks for your time, everybody.
Thank you for coming.
If you- I was just gonna say, if you wanted to write your comment on a post-it, we'd come and get it for you and put it where you wanted it. There was a particular site that's near your home, or that you have a place that you think, oh gosh, it could really use a trail or a bench or a playground or a spray park or a off-leash dog area or something, we can do that. And then again, just, you might not care specifically exactly where it's at, but you want to see it happening in the city, that could be something that's there. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. So we've got a few big, I call it big parks projects going on right now. So American Lake North, Wards Lake, and Edgewater Park.
Yeah.
As we build out our legacy plan, do we foresee other large projects like that to do in the next 5 years?
Those are pretty major. Those were the ones that were pending, and all of the projects always take. You know, we come up with the idea for the legacy plan and now we're implementing it, 4 or 5 years later because. Projects are getting more and more expensive. So I'm kind of giving a long answer so we always are going up for grants and looking for resources. So we come up with, Ray comes up with a great idea for a project down at a park. It takes us a while to get the resources together and then to do the planning and the permitting and get it done. So those projects came on. I would say anything at Fort Silicon Park, because we do have, and it might not be at Fort Silicon, like a couple of things. There's a couple of different cricket groups that are in our community. That there's a Samoan cricket group and a Indian cricket group, and they play kind of two different kinds of roles, but need the same kind of infrastructure. We don't have that. We don't have that here in Lakewood. And so that's kind of a new activity, which is pretty exciting because it's bringing new people to our parks that we're supporting with cultural activities that they want to engage in. So maybe creating something like a cricket pitch. Where do you put it? It doesn't take a lot of infrastructure, but it does need to be safe and be done. And then the parking that you need by it. So something like that. Of course, the downtown park is a goal of council. So looking at how the area downtown by right now, called the Old Bagel Shop or by the QFC, there's about 1.5 acres that you've seen as recently the buildings were torn down and we're kind of cleaning the area up. We're going to plant grass so that it can just be used for open space now. But then how do we want to see that area develop? Do we want to put a community center there? Do we want to have it be different kinds of open space recreation gatherings so it can help the businesses expand? So we'll kind of pursue that information a little bit more. Those would be big projects because, and then there isn't, besides Wards Lake is 36 acres now. We're developing about 26 of them on the east side of the community. So when the map's up, do you want to put back to where the map is? So in the city, the goal is to have an open space or some kind of recreational activity within 1/2 mile of everybody. And we're kind of hit that in most areas. The one area that we didn't have it was around Gravelly Lake. And that was kind of a thing, but they built those big sidewalks. And so now you see it's linear park, people are really using it that way. There is not much from, if you want to show South Tacoma Way to the east side, we have, Wards Lake Park, which is great, but there's not much else, from a neighborhood park perspective. And so how do we, address those areas? A big challenge for the city is, the city was 95% built out when we incorporated. So everything's redevelopment, not a lot of open space to build new parks and lands. And so part of it is finding where does that space belong? And is it open space that we can use? Is it adjacent to something that's already occurring? So it's an enhancement to something that's already happening? Or do you buy a house or two and knock them down and then develop space? Really depends on what you need and where it is and then what you want to accomplish there. And all those things take time. So I think, say from the big things coming up from the capacity would be Edgewater, because that's just getting started. So we have a good plan, and I think we've got about $3+ million in grants that we've just gone through the last 2 years getting. So that'll, and then it's gonna take at least a year in permitting, so that'll take a bit of time, so that'll be in the next 6 years. Probably, but there's some enhancements to Fort Steilacoom, and then probably like, the H Barn or community center or senior center or a combination thereof, would be big, so. And then we're always replacing playgrounds about every 15 years. A playground lasts about technically 8 to 10 years, but our playgrounds last about 15. We take really good care of our stuff. And then benches and, you know, slide falls off and those kinds of things. So those are kind of simple things that we can get done, and then just the ongoing improvements, so. Oh, Camp Murray, that's probably the other big one in Tillicum. Well, there'll be 2 more, so I'll keep going, sorry. Camp Murray will be doing a master plan, and waterfront, you know, that'll be probably a big project that you won't see for several years, just because that would take a lot of extra funding that we haven't even thought about yet, because we haven't even done a master plan. And then the other thing would be is our street ends. That's a project that we have coming up. We're doing a pilot project now at Westlake Avenue. Debbie's working on that. And that was probably the simplest one to do. That's why we're doing it first. It's our pilot project. It's pretty flat, there's good visibility, really little to no encumbrances, so that or encroachments, so that we can kind of get this space there and show people it can be done. It can be a benefit to your neighborhood, it can be safe, it's not scary, you know, change is always scary for folks, so we try and do things so that we can let people know. And then once we have some history with that, we've got 12 different sites, probably 11 different sites that are actually doable. And the council will be looking like every year, planning it 1 year, developing it the next year, then planning it and developing it so that we can have more access to the water. Because for a city named Lakewood, we've got lots of woods, we got lots of water, but very little public access to the water. So we're trying to open that up for our community, so there's not such impact on places like American Lake that Harry Todd, divide and conquer a little bit, which is better for people and safety.
That helps.
The
Last council meeting, we did some rezoning of some of the parks to make them more active open space, right?
Yes.
Do you know if the street ends are zoned open space at all, or?
Right now, they're right of way, and so those technically aren't typically zoned, you know, your streets aren't usually zoned, your parcels are, and so we'll be looking at that from a development perspective to, do we take them from a right of, because they're a right of way, a street end is basically a right of way that hits water. That's the criteria for it, but it's just like a road, but instead of, you know, a stop sign, you hit water. So we'll be looking at, do we want to take the street end and take that right of way and then
Make
change it to parkland? Because you might have access to some grants for that you wouldn't have access if it's a street. A lot of the state grants don't allow you to do transportation improvements because there's other street projects for that. But the real street grants aren't gonna really support a street end because they wanna talk about, you know, movement and that. So that could be something that we do. And then Tiffany Spear, who works with our planning commission and also works with our zoning, we just met with her today about being a supporter of this to find out really where are those areas, because we didn't know some of the areas, we should, but some of the areas that we've just all assumed are park maybe didn't have a different designation. And so when we try to do some development, they're like, well, you can't do it on this kind of zoning. We're like, well, what do you mean? It's been a park for 25 years. So we're working through those things. And part of Debbie and his team will be looking at all of the land use and parcels and make sure that we can clean those things up. So that if we have a big idea for a piece of property or a big idea for a park, that we can do what we say we want to do. I think they're trying to clean up the code too, because there's different layer, like a open space 1 and an open space 2, and you can put a trail here, but you can't put a picnic table there, and some of it's kind of silly. So we're gonna clean that up a little bit too.
American Lake Park North, we're gonna open by the 4th of July.
Probably not. We're really working with the contractor. It should have been done probably the end of June. It should have been done middle of June, but we ran into a big problem with the big retaining wall there. We didn't think it was gonna cause as much problems as it did. It's so huge. It was, we thought it was gonna be supported enough to build in front of it, but we had to remove it, and then we wanted to protect all the trees, so that put us a little bit of a delay, so. And the bulkheads were problematic, and anyway, there's some challenges, so we're working on it, and the contractor knows, it's like, you work hard, because when that sun comes out, you don't, it's gonna be hard to keep people out of that site, so we're doing our best, so. Time.
When you look for these funding sources, are they tied to some functionality, like some are only appropriate to replace or install playsets, some are access to the area?
Yep.
So you had to target those also, you mentioned.
Yeah, every grant dollar you get anywhere, whether it's a donation or a grant, there's always strings attached, and usually some kind of criteria so that they can either prioritize all the different applications. So we been really good and successful in Lakewood that we'll take a project like, let's say Edgewater Park. We applied for 3 grants for Edgewater Park. One was a boat launch grant, because we're trying to move the boat launch and fix that. So that was just for boat launches, and just for boat launches for boats under 26 feet that are used by gas powered boats, so something like that. We also did a water access grant, which was an outdoor recreation grant to get folks the ability to access water. So that was a special access. That grant has criteria. The first 75% has to be for acquisition, and the last portion of the grant is for development. We were doing a development. We already own the land. But we were the top project because we're really good at what we do. So we were the top project of the first development money. And then the second one was local parks, ALEA, Aquatic Land Enhancement Fund. So that's another state grant that's specifically for developing aquatic lands. And again, public access is very important. And the fact that we're doing some preservation or stewardship as well, because there's wetlands there, that gives you a little extra point. So all of them have criteria. So we're good at finding the right grant for the right project. And if we can piggyback different grants so that they all have matches, there's no free money. So if this one's $100,000 grant and I can get this one for $100,000 and they can match each other, then the city doesn't have to add $100,000. So we're really thoughtful in that manner. But there's very little money for indoor facilities, and there are quite a few projects for outdoor facilities. So that's what we focus on. Everything you ever wanted to know about grants. We're afraid to ask.
I used to write them in medical, so
Yeah,
I didn't know if they were categorized like that, to seek them in.
yeah, they are. And we're really creative, and then we also look for partnerships and we look for donations. The fire department's really good at, they might not give us cash, but because they do volunteer cleanups, they do underwater cleanups, they do safety education programs, we're able to share that with our grantees to show them that we have community support, we have good partnerships, and that just makes the project stronger. Sometimes we can say, we're partnering with the Public Works Department and they're gonna put a signal in at this corner, so pedestrian safety is improved. It's gonna enhance this project, but it's not part of this project, so that kind of stuff, so. We're always looking for somebody. My job is to basically find other people to pay for the city's project, so that's what we do.
Mary, we as public safety advisory committee are trying to be more visible with the public. And something that we had talked about in our work plan for 2025 was having a booth at the farmers market. I know we did participate in Truck and Tractor Day last year.
Okay.
And so Joanna is so lovely. She's like, ask Mary about the farmers market.
Yeah.
How can we, is it possible for us to set up a booth?
Sure.
And how would we go about?
So the farmer's market just started yesterday, super successful, beautiful day. So, we always have, we have sort of a formula, 50% farmers, 20% processors, which is basically taking a strawberry and making something, taking wheat and making bread. So that's considered a process. Crafters. And then we have 10% that we allow for others. And that could be nonprofits, could be advisory boards. We had, the fire department was there yesterday, they're there throughout the summer. There's somebody, well, yeah, the Rotary was there yesterday, Mary Bridge will come out and do like, safety, so lots of different, so there's room, all you need to do is, check in with Sally Martinez and or Lonnie Neal, and we can send you that information. I think I already provided it to Joanna. But you just need to let us know what day you want, because we have regulars that are there all the time, so those, we have it set up, but some moving parts, so we just wanna make sure that you're in a good location. And then it's sometimes we'll partner groups, like, we don't really have enough for one whole booth, but could we sit at the city booth today? Or could we partner with the Rotary Club, or could we, yeah, fire department, sometimes the police department's there, so yeah, so if you wanted to partner and not, so you still have your booth and you have the visibility, but. Maybe you don't have enough to, displays and stuff, so we always try and have it be informational, but also have something to kind of. Like an activity for kids, spin the wheel, do a trivia game, have a coloring page, they were handing out little frisbees. Cause you wanna have, we don't want really, like, just don't hand them a card or paper, cause then people throw it away, but have it something that draws the people to your booth. And then talk to them about, either what you're looking for, are you trying to recruit members? Are you trying to enhance, public input on certain topics? Like Debbie's gonna be there doing legacy plan stuff. We're handing out swag all the time. We're handing out information on events and activities, so. You're welcome to join us, and it's a great place to have to sit and have a booth, so. Yeah,
And
you're welcome
Sally
to
would
join.
be the same contact for, Summerfest
Yes.
and Truck and Truck.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and the police department has a big presence, as well as the fire department. We kind of keep you guys all in the same area on Summerfest, so. It could be that would be a great event to piggyback with somebody, because there's lots of tents and booths and topics, and. Police department has swag, they probably share.
We shall see. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Any more questions? James, Chris, any questions? No? Okay, thank you guys so much.
Nope, I'm good.
Hopefully, Chris has something. Oh, Chris has something.
Oh,
Oh, no, I was just saying I was good. Sorry. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard for me to hit the button. Sorry.
Well, we can't hear you.
can you hear that?
Is that
Somewhat there.
How's that? Can you give it a shot, Chris?
Chris, can you
Say
say
that
it
again?
again? I think it was James that was talking. James.
Oh,
Oh,
Chris said he has no questions.
I think it was James I heard. James, did you have a question or comment?
No question or comment.
Okay. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks.
Stan.
Yeah.
And city council comment.
Sure, so, city's going through some big changes right now. Right, city manager, the last day is tomorrow. Our Parks and Rec director is retiring next week. So, and next year we're gonna have a new mayor and new deputy mayor, because they're both not running for re-election. We are gonna have a lot of changes in the city of Lakewood. So it's a good opportunity to get things right and continue on the legacy that those folks are leaving as they move on, so keep folks in the loop. Next Tuesday, all the candidates for the city manager job are gonna be at a reception at McGavick Center from 7 to 8:30. And it's open to the public to ask them questions, encourage folks to do that. Our council members will be there as well to listen to how they answer those questions. And then we're gonna interview all of them the next day, all day long on Wednesday. And really dig into what's important to them, how it matches with the needs of the city, and move forward from that. So I believe there's 5 candidates right now, and look forward to meeting them all next week. As Mary mentioned, Farmers Market started yesterday. It was beautiful. There were a lot of people, which was
Yeah.
really exciting, and some new booths. I tried a new bulgogi place.
Oh, yeah.
That was delicious, and my wife got the wraps from like Shanghai Kitchen or something.
Was
like
it the
that.
crepe?
Yeah, the crepes.
Yeah,
Those
those looked amazing. It looked
Yeah,
like
she
a work
really
of
liked
art.
Yeah, so there's new food vendors, and just new stuff there this year, that, I encourage folks to get out to that every Tuesday. I serve on the board for South Sound 911 as Lakewood's rep, and they are also going through some changes, being a new executive director. And that position is posted, so people are applying, and I believe interviews will be in a couple months. So, there's some changes locally for that as well. And the last thing, I don't want to steal Chris's, time too much, or his glory, but we'll probably talk about desserts in the driveway. I will. Okay, so stay tuned. I'll leave that for more up well. And yeah, any questions? Yeah.
Next Tuesday is, at the farmer's market, we're gonna do, H Barn open house. The city hired, has been talking about this for 20 years, I think, renovating the barn, one of the barns at Fort Slocum Park. And so they hired a design firm in January, and so we'll be doing community open house from 3 to 6 on Tuesday at the farmer's market, so you can come and get a 2-for-1. And, Davia will probably be talking about this too, so you can get a 3-for-1. And, so you can come and see what some of the options are. Council will have a presentation on Monday. They'll be tied up with a lot of things in case they can't come, but, yeah, so come out and give us some feedback and tell us what you think about that project. People seem to be pretty excited about it, but we'd love to, kind of just share the work that's been done to date.
Yeah, that H Barn's gonna be really amazing.
Yeah.
We were fortunate to get a tour from Mary and some of her staff a couple weeks ago. And it's a really cool site that has a lot of history and legacy. So
Lots
it's an
of
important part of our city's history.
Yeah, thank you.
West Pierce Fire and Rescue, Michael Boggs, any.
I gotta follow up on you. We have a couple, Bart Dalton, our commissioner chair, will not be, in re-election, so. We'll have a new commissioner there. We've had a commissioner appointed this year, Scott Dillinger. He actually will be running for an open position later this year. He's unopposed, nobody filed against him, and then Alan Billingsley, one of our local Lakewood residents who's been quite involved, is stepping up and will be, running for the other commissioner seat in the post. So we're looking forward to that, to look at individuals.
Yeah.
Good thing is they're running unopposed, so we only have to run in November in primaries. Cheaper, yeah, cheaper's always good. Open house is this Saturday, 10 to 2 up at Station 31. It runs in, tandem with, University of Duck Days. But, they do their parade, they have their celebration, and then we open up the, Station 31 and have a bunch of community stuff and free hot dog. So come out and get free food and enjoy what looks like it's gonna be a great day. So a little bit of fun for the community there. Everything else is kind of just status quo. We did just run, following back, and I think it's been 2 years now since we had the Fort Steilacoom Park fire. We've been, from that one of our focuses has been the wildfire risk. Harry always gets a letter from me, make the park safe and.
I think our stuff was pretty good. I think
Good.
some of our
Yeah.
neighbors were
Yeah.
a little,
We've been focusing on that. We write Pierce College, Western State and, the city a letter just in preparation of fire season of, here's our identified risk in that area and what we'd like to have happen. But in preparation for that too, we just certified, I believe, 139 of our firefighters as Red Card certified. That's specific to wildlands. So it's a new evolving threat. 20 years ago, it just wasn't a concern, but with the wildland urban interface, changing environment, drier, hotter summers, we've recognized that. We, in the past couple of years, have also implemented, we call them squads, but they're 2-person, sort of lower acuity call response, but they're brush trucks. So we have 2 of those in the district too, in preparation for what's upcoming. And as part of that also, we're looking at our community wildfire protection plan. The county is currently working on, that's part of emergency management. I know John's talked emergency management and that preparation. County's working on theirs, we're gonna be on their heels once they finalize theirs to do a West Pierce plan to and identify risks. So we're working towards that. Just, you know, summer's just around the corner. We're right there. It's getting warm. So we're working on that, and it's really a great thing that we've implemented Red Card training for firefighters to be prepared.
Question?
Are you preparing for meeting centers for folks? As
We're going to have to ask, the industry as part of the coalition. Typically, those are sort of in the planning, sort of like our temporary housing that we had set up, but I can ask them of that and follow back.
I would think a good partnership.
Yeah.
Really.
It would be a sort of global community partnership.
The libraries are usually really good at that because of their ability to have people just come.
Open
together.
public space.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll ask Serena to sort of lead the coalition for us.
Yeah, you get to anticipate, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Considering it's supposed to be 85, 85 going from 60 to 85 is warm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Overnight.
overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very warm, so I appreciate that. I'll ask him.
Chief,
Yes.
any updates from Lakewood PD?
Yes, as you guys know, we had a mass shooting in Heritage Park this past Friday that resulted in 7 people being shot. From that, only 1 person was in critical condition. They are now in stable condition. Everyone else has been released from the hospital. We're still following up on our leads. We do plan to make arrests in this case. And we're just waiting until we have a complete picture together so that we can complete give a full picture to the prosecutor in this case. It will take a while based on the sheer number of people who are at the park and also determining the number of shooters. So that case is going to be with us for a little while. But as even with that, we still remain down in all areas of crime. Our aggravated assaults are still down 15.9%. Our homicides, fortunately, we've had none this year so far. Our sex crimes are down 27%, and our total crime is down 17% in that area. Our burglaries are down 37%. Larcenies are down 3.4%. Our motor vehicle theft is down 66%. Our robberies are down 30%. And our total crime in that area was 20.7%. Our CAD calls are down 45%. And our officers are working exceptionally hard out there to make sure that we are represented in all areas of reducing crime in the way that we need to. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I see no members of youth.
I have just a general question for the chief and fire both. If there's a residence that has something going on in their house where they may need either police assistance or fire assistance, and they want a lockbox to allow them access on their door, how do they set that up so that you both have the combination of lockbox?
So from fire standpoint, we don't have necessarily directly a single point. I think the best thing we could do, fires, that happens quite a bit with fire from Edo. And we have a Knox box program for fire. Lakewood PD also has a Knox box program. Typically, we see that on schools, where there's 2 boxes side by side and there's only the fire and only police department have access to masters. Schools and businesses, that's pretty typical. Residential, what we can do is you can go buy just a box tell us what the code is, we can give it to our dispatch center, that would make it available to both of us.
Who do we call to set that up though?
You could call fire and
Just call
we'll get
fire.
it to, I would have, chief, do you know if that, I don't know how that is on the police side.
They coordinate simply with South Sound 911. And they dispatch either way for police and fire, for both respond, and South Sound 911 will have the code. They can get it out to the units or the fire department respond.
And that's the simplest, the residential Knox box is expensive, just, it's like $400, it's ridiculous. That's how they make their money, they give us the keys for free, but the charge of, the box costs ridiculous. So for a residential, I really recommend just the normal one you get from Home Depot, Ace, Lowe's, wherever, you punch in the code, you put it on, you don't even have to put it by the front door. Because part of that is, you give us the code, where is it located, and we tell South Sound 911 that. From our side, we put it into our pre-planned program too, so it's sort of redundant. But that's what's worked in the past.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. If
Yeah.
we purchased one, that first one, how do we get that?
You can communicate it to my office, the fire prevention office, or the police, I imagine their community service officers or like that. And get it to South Sound 911.
Okay.
And it's pretty common, especially on our elderly, who are at risk, and just in case they fall on it. The other one that we see quite frequently is the, I don't even remember the name of it, but I call and I can't get up, or
Flyers.
a lot of times they'll keep the code with that program and tell you where it is on dispatch.
Never thought of dispatch having those codes, that's really smart.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, from fire standpoint, if you call 911 and say, I'm really in need of help and I can't get to the front door, we're gonna get.
True.
Yeah.
Just in a meeting this morning that, when we were talking about, allowing access for situations like that, if there's somebody disabled on the house and the able person, something happens to them, then what do you do? The other person can't go.
So we'll force enter. If it's you call 911 and, we're there and you say, I can't get to the door, we'll get in, we'll damage possible, but we'll get in to help you. If there's a key there, it's even better, we don't have to jam through property, but, for peace of mind, we don't just walk away.
Hey, under unfinished business, neighborhood association revitalization, we have Chris Davis here.
Ooh, got me, again. I love it.
Here, let me help
Pictures and all there. Cool. There you go. You guys think?
Not going far, I'm sure.
I'm not going far. Yeah, I'll be volunteering, walking the park and checking on everybody. I love it.
If we go to that age, I'll be sometime.
Chris, would you like to come here? Yeah, you want to help me?
Oh, it's not showing on her up there.
Chris, you got one for yourself, sir?
Yes, I do.
So I was trying to see, since I actually, thing. No. Some sense.
Congratulations on your.
Thank you. Having that, I'll get to watch my little neighbor.
Hi, Mary.
Have a good night.
Awesome. Okay. See you next week at the park.
Yep.
Ooh.
Stop sharing this one.
It's not. There we go, just delay. Yeah, y'all, can everyone hear me okay? Online, on there, right? Okay. Okay, so, hi y'all, y'all pretty much know me by now, so I'm not gonna introduce myself. But, I was asked to talk about the neighborhood association survey that was done a few months ago. Kind of giving the map, I think last time Sarah showed you all this map that the neighborhood connections leadership group made. And we did a survey pretty much kind of. Why did a survey? We did a survey pretty much because we wanted to see, kind of give communities input on like what they kind of see this map for. And the biggest issue was before the map, we're using the police districts were really huge and people had issues with trying to get their information from the neighborhood association about their part of the community. So we tried to look at this map, the neighborhood association, neighborhood leadership group, tried to look at this map and we kind of put the map that's in front of you now. Pretty much kind of divided up into some better parts that would be easier for the city to be able to attend meetings, police, fire, etc. So there's not too many of them, but also not too many of them, but also not too little of them. And through this survey, as you'll see when I go through it, there's a lot of misinformation of what a neighborhood association actually is and what it actually does and what this map's for. So I say those are some of the takeaways. Okay. Yes, so people online, this is the map that we're talking about currently. Again, the Neighborhood Connections Leadership Group made this map that's made up of the leadership from the neighborhood associations, police in there, fires in there, as well as community and schools attend that meeting. So this is kind of their draft of the map for the neighborhood association. Okay, so we had 91 responses. We put them in the Liquid Connections magazine and also the social media posts there for people to get it. I've also did a lot of not physically walking on doors, but just going to certain businesses and stuff, putting out flyers, people to scan the QR codes to respond. We just have the survey paused right now, just to get more impact from you all and also from other neighborhood associations, what they think about the results from this and see if it needs to continue. So question one, I'm gonna go through each question because I think it's pretty important. So do the proposed neighborhood boundaries of this map align with the neighborhoods of Lakewood? A lot of 33% pretty much agreed. There's 16% that strongly agreed, 12% that disagreed, and then 14% that did not. And the others that first listed are kind of the common responses people I've had. In your packets, I put these responses as well as why the document's very long. It's 14 pages. It's because I also included every written comment that someone has made on there on this survey. So you can get the full scope of what people's thoughts were. But pretty much commonly for this first question was like the downtown area needs refinement, it's too big. People wanted to combine the Tillicum and Springbrook areas due because of their socioeconomic status and community characteristics. And then a lot of thinking about the Lake City boundaries being too big. A lot of complaints about like what was the logic around why these were divided this way. Second question, are these changes what you would suggest? Here's where this is the open-ended question. This is what a lot of people said, that the Dower Elementary neighborhood name should change. People offer some good names for that. I was struggling because that's the only thing some people have told me is like Dower Elementary area. I'm like, that's not a good name, but that's all I got. I'm gonna work with it. So people get some good suggestions for that. again, streaking the downtown area was a big, explaining that up was a big thing throughout this whole thing. Having better aligned with the neighborhoods in geographically and community identity, so using roads, using national landmarks, historical names. People kind of feeling like there's like weird awkward areas where residential areas are and then businesses aren't. So how those areas should be divided up. Question 3 is pretty much seeing, is this map good enough for a good size for police, fire, the city to attend these meetings, right? Most people agreed that, yes, these were equally good sizes for police and fire and people to attend. Common for the other section, again, will be downtown and Lake City being too big of an area. But the other areas like Oak Brook, Dower, and Deans be more reasonable size. So how can we make those sizes more reasonable? And again, the people trying to combine the Woodbrook, Tillicum, and Springbrook together because of the high poverty or high crime rate areas. Question 4, we talk about proposing, like, what are some unique characteristics of your community? I added this question because I really wanted to know what people felt within their community that should be added onto this map, and something that could be, from my knowledge, be good. A lot of people talked about really using more cultural names for this. So there's a lot of discussion around like East Lakewood, maybe not international district because there's a lot of more international food and businesses there. And people using at Lakeview, things, etc. like that in those names. I have a very old map of Lakewood that does say that East Lakewood is Lakeview. And then I got told that like, well, there's not really a lake there, so why is it called Lakeview? I have no idea why it's called Lakeview, but that it is there. And in that old map, that's like, they have more cultural names. The Clover Peak area is called Ponder, is what I've heard is not a good connotation to use. So I changed it to Clover Creek. So in this question, there's really understanding kind of what people want to see more in their community and what they see, what they want to be added onto this map. And 5, again, what kind of community spaces and things should we highlight? People talk about parks, they talked about schools, kind of like community centers and things like that should be added onto the map. And kind of using more historical names, we said before, have been placed on neighborhoods that are long-standing. I think I repeated this question. Yes, I did. Okay. And are there any concerns about the proposed neighborhood divisions? Again, repeated, downtown and Lake City being too big of areas. Having people have some confusion being like, why on this map East Lakewood is called East Lakewood and not like a different name like the others. There was a big risk, people had concerns that like these could potentially lead to people having these neighborhood associations to lead into homeowner associations, with a lot of misinformation there, but it's not. There's no plans for that. So there's a lot of questions around that. And then one particular area group in this one really had responses like, how can this map be used to in future kind of elections and things when people have currently the city council, when you run for city council, there's not a specific district that you run in. There was a lot of suggestions that maybe that should change, where there's certain districts that when you're running for city council, you have to live in this district and represent that district. That's a beyond me question, but that was there. Okay, so the main takeaways that kind of came from this is one, education. Educating people on what a neighborhood association is, why this map is being created, and that this map is a guideline. This is not trying to be like, this is only these people can only come to this meeting. It's more, this is a guideline, and whatever meeting that you want to go to, or neighbor association meeting you want to go for it. If you want to create another neighbor association for your area, go for it. I think this map is just a good guideline for people to see and to really be like, hey, I really want to go. I live in Oak Brook, and I really want to go to a neighbor association meeting to see what's going on. I have now a map knowing where those lines are, but they're all guidelines. To social media and outreach, again, I think I'm trying to work with the communications department at the city to really work hard about trying to get more information of like why neighborhood associations matter and why this is important. And then the third is needing a more detailed neighborhood map. After this, going through these results, it's really clear that a neighborhood map's kind of needed. It might look very much different than what a neighborhood association map will look like. But this map that you currently see has been spread around. I've sent it to Westridge Fire, I've sent it to the police department, I've sent parks have used it. So I think having a more detailed neighborhood map that might be more aligned, where people might see their neighborhood at, might be good for data collection, things like that forward. And that's all I have. Any questions? I know there was a lot of information in a short amount of time.
Seems like, I know since I've been here 26 years in the area, I went to a lot of neighborhood meetings that are defunct, or they just dissolved or they disappeared. Seemed like a question that would be useful is, where did they go or why did they go there? I mean, it stopped.
Yeah.
For some reason. There must have been, I mean, I don't think they were all social clubs just having a coke around a picnic, so there must have been something that brought it to jail. And of course, things are changing, and
Yeah.
I came here with the military, like so many have. And that can be a change, stimulator.
Yeah.
But I couldn't figure out the identity for some of these. They had a name, they had a time and a date, but there didn't seem to be any glue there, so I don't know what was missing, but they went away.
Yeah, in my knowledge, how they started was through the police department. They had a grant that they had required them to have these neighborhood associations happen and be running through one of those programs. And then once that funding got added, it kind of dropped off. The neighborhood associations kept on going, but that program dropped off. And then COVID happened and people didn't really meet, but some just stopped. I know from North Lakewood, it used to be this whole section up top. They stopped because they felt they have, 3 or 4 homeowner associations in those areas and felt like they were just getting all that coverage already. And I know I talked to the person who led that group, Todd Friedman, who felt like people are already getting their information from the city, so he just felt like it wasn't really necessary to keep on going. But there are a lot of people who are very interested in Oak Brook area to do that, so I think there's still interest. In my experience doing like Fort Slocum that's new and downtown that's new, it's been a lot of just finding those people that are really interested, having me to be able to support them and to continue that. So I'm hoping to get Clover Creek, probably not called Dower Elementary, and hopefully started soon. I have some interested people that might want to start one, but I think it's mainly people lost, don't want to be the only person doing the whole work. So
Is there a list of the neighborhood associations, where we can look up to see like when Lake City meets or when downtown neighborhood
if you
association?
go to the city website and you go to neighborhood connections, you can find it there. It's all updated now. So that'll be, all of them are listed with our current pages like that.
Is there anybody here that's attending a neighborhood association?
No, because the one, I was involved with North and North was split up.
Yeah.
And we were also involved with Telecom and they weren't meeting for a long time. I think they are again.
Yes, they are meeting.
So the plan is that they'll all meet in one place. They won't meet in their area, is that your plan?
For like the neighbor association?
Yeah.
That's not my plan. My plan is just for me just to have, I think that they should meet in their neighborhood. I'm just here to support that work.
Well, I do too.
Yeah.
Here's the major problem
Okay,
that we ran into this in North. Where to hold the meeting,
yes. that's the-
because nobody wants to pay to have a meeting twice.
Yeah,
And most, nobody wants to let you have a place for free. And so that ends up being difficult. So the meeting place was moved around quite a few times. And that always causes disruption.
yeah.
So have you looked at that there's a possibility maybe we could use one of the schools or figure a way ahead of me?
Yes,
Okay.
I mean, I've been in this position for a little bit, so, yeah, so to bring up desserts on the driveway, that's kind of where. Currently, where every desserts on the driveway is where a meeting, I talked to them to have that space long term. So for Oak Brook, it's Oak Brook Elementary, and they're willing us to use that space for meetings in the future. So that's what I've worked out in each of these areas. One that don't have neighborhood associations. I've worked with mainly the school district to see if we can use those spaces, and we can. Yes, you're able to use those spaces for free.
So in the Downing district or Dower, excuse me.
Mhm. That will be LASA. LASA offered their space for free to use for that area.
But one of the schools probably could be used once a month, maybe.
Yeah.
I know Lake City meets at the West Pier Station there. There's other stations maybe available in other associations.
Yeah, we could look at it.
Yeah, we trying to do it for the Fort Silicon one, but I guess that station is pretty small.
It's small and it's gonna start a remodel here.
Okay.
Just awarded it.
Well, then hopefully in the future.
We just want to get some updates. Again, this is something for visibility and building the bridge between, the community and, the city council. For the neighborhood association list, we see that Tillicum and Woodbrook, is meeting the second Tuesday of the month at 6:30. And James, it says that you're the primary. Have you been going? No, I can't hear you.
Yeah. I want to type it in.
I'm sorry, James, we're having some technical difficulties. I see that Lake City is meeting the second Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. We don't have anybody, currently visiting that one. Springbrook is active and they meet 4:30 the third Thursday of the month. We don't have anyone active there. For the Downtown Neighborhood Association, they're meeting the second Wednesday of the month at 5:30 at the library. I
We
do,
don't meet monthly anymore,
okay,
but they meet every other month, so the meeting this June 11th.
and I'll be there for
Yeah.
that. And then, yeah, so, okay, so that's every other month.
Yeah. I'll be there.
So if, say, in Dower, if we want to get something going in Dower, then we need to come to the neighborhood association and do it through them, is that?
No, if you want to do, what I would say, if you want to start, if you want to start a neighborhood association, the recommendation I would say is like, come talk to me. My style was really much like, we do an interest meeting in that area, talk about what the issues are in the area, what a neighborhood association could do, why it's important. And then hopefully from that meeting, you gather like 3 or 4 people that are willing to be on a planning committee to start hosting and getting topics and stuff for it. That's been working pretty well for both Fort Silicon and downtown. I know most of the other, like Lake City, they have like a more a president, vice president style, and that's been kind of hard to for somebody, one person to do most of the work, so the planning committees really help just like bring people together. It's not all.
Thank you. Any more questions?
I'm unmuted now.
Just text James and ask him to text me his question. So
Okay.
he may have a question here in a minute.
I'm unmuted now. No, I did not.
You sort of.
Say again? No, we did not. I did not go after we attempted a while back to go.
Okay.
So I don't know if they're active or not.
Okay.
Telecom is active.
Telecom is active.
They're not gonna have their next meeting, that will be reserved on the driveway, but I mean, they'll all be there, but.
And the one that we went to before, also, Mary Moss was there. The council member. She just went through there. Mark and I went a while back.
Did you go this year?
No.
No. Okay, any other questions? Thank you.
Feel free to shoot me an email or anything if you have more. This neighborhood association map most likely will change. And it'll most likely be more detailed kind of neighborhood map that will be kind of separate use, probably internally. City and other places for more like data and stuff use.
One of the things I saw that was really a big advantage to these is that when we held them, that a representative of the police department showed up, and it was usually an officer that patrolled in that area. And then somebody from the city council generally showed up there that was in that area, represented that area.
Yeah.
And it allowed the people living there to really feel more connected with the city, and if we can get that going and keep going, well then.
Yeah, I think you're correct. I'll like, I think just being on the downtown and Fort Slocum that are most of the newest ones, do the same thing. They have police, fire, a city council member attends those meetings too, so. There's people getting more engaged in here, like Fort Slocum's next meeting's on June 25th. And they're having, hopefully city council member will be there. I couldn't solve things, but I know police and fire will be there, and they're doing a candidate meet and greet for the people running for city council. So that will be, I'm assuming that's gonna be pretty wild, because most people want to understand their candidates, so. Yeah. I think they're really important, so people get those topics.
When's that?
That's June 25th, Wednesday, 6:30 to 8. At the village.
Thank you, Fred.
And if you know anyone that lives in like the Dower Elementary area or Clover Creek area, please have them contact me for those are, or in Oak Brook too. Those are the three I'm trying to get started, so.
I live in Dower. Ray lives in Dower, and James lives in Dower.
Well then, hit me up, so we can get a planning committee together, get your neighbors involved.
The previous organization, it was like you were in the shadow of Oak Brook. And up till China virus era, as it deteriorated, size-wise, competition with where could you meet, and then wore out a couple leaders, over their batteries were discharged. And it got challenging, but the main issues that were brought into the meeting every time were things to do with how housing was populated with people released from the island and home care and not illegitimate.
Right.
But, you can only eat beans so many days in a row. I think to the military and me says, call that place North Central. The guys like us that come in and gals know how to work a map.
Right.
I only know of Dower because I took 3 of the grandkids in to raise them for a while, and Dower was the landing point. But, yeah, the overfunding one of my dogs, Onyx, just because of those, I mean, everything there is Oak Brook or Onyx.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. We're getting down to the end here. Some of the new business is we have Summerfest approaching on July 19th. I know this is probably really hard to talk about with, 2, 3, 4, well, there's 4, we don't even. I think I'm gonna send out an email because it's only really the 4 of us to talk about availability and willingness to volunteer for Summerfest, as well as what day. I don't think it's feasible for us to do all the farmers market days, so maybe we could commit to a couple days and divide the hours, so it's not so much of one person, but I think we probably need to email this out.
Maybe do the,
Oh, when it's dropped off.
maybe do the last one, the month.
So we just need that there. Okay. Now with, Chris dropping off, we don't have a forum, so I guess we can take care. We're gonna adjourn. James, Chris dropped off. Will you call James by? Oh.
We'll say again.
Bye, James.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Presentation.
What I said, that's what maybe we should do, like, that's very.